Would I be the a-hole if I stopped letting my mother-in-law take my daughter without mine or my husband's oversight? I'll try to keep it short, but my mother-in-law is a devoted Christian and my husband, 40M, and I, 38F, are atheist, and we are raising our daughter the same. We have had a few incidents where mother-in-law has tried to sneak her religion into our home, with books about the apocalypse and talking to my daughter about angels and heaven when my dad recently passed. Yesterday my daughter was at a sleepover with my in-laws and I went to pick her up. She runs up to me and says Jesus and God are real. Nanny showed me pictures. I straight-faced told my toddler that no, he doesn't. I confronted my mother-in-law and say we can't do this. She's too young to play these games. And she tries to defend it and I just stare at her with STFU all over my face. She stops and demands to know if my husband feels the same. She knows he does because we've both approached her about this in the past, and then says fine and acts cold until I leave. My life stress meter is already about to burst like a thermometer in a kid's cartoon, and I literally can't handle more. Would I be the a-hole if I temporarily halted alone visits between my 3-year-old and my 65-year-old mother-in-law? Edit. Until my mother-in-law started telling her about God, there was no teaching of atheism in our home. How do you teach that? We simply do not have religion in our home. We had never told her anything about religion. We felt countered when this began and had to explain that she believes things mommy and daddy don't. We are not like these indoctrinating religious parents. I spoke with my daughter and told her that Nanny and some people believe this, mommy and daddy don't. We've asked Nanny not to talk about these things, so if she does, please tell her mom and dad said you are not supposed to talk about it. Am I the a-hole for insinuating that this young lady was lying? I, 50F, have a son, 23M, who is expecting a child with a young lady, 18F. The issue is, he does not know the young lady very well and doesn't have much interest in speaking to her at the moment, so we have a paternity test scheduled pretty soon so we can know before the baby is born. Although my son is not interested in speaking to her, I am sure he will make a great father as he will warm up to the reality as time goes by. I met this young lady only a few weeks ago. She is 3 months along. She has had no interest in getting prenatal care, so I've scheduled an appointment for her. I offered her a ride and she made an excuse as to why she couldn't go. I then called her yesterday and she said she was having pain, so I insisted she go to the hospital. She didn't want to go, and said it was no longer bothering her and she didn't want to go without my son. However, I was already on the way and when I arrived, she wouldn't come outside, so I left, upset. Today, she sent me a video of a sonogram and I said to her congrats. Had you texted that you were going to a doctor or whatever you have going on, someone would not have minded being there for you. It's questionable how you are showing this today, when we were only trying to help you yesterday to make sure that you and the baby were okay. She felt disrespected and took it that I was saying she was lying about being pregnant. However, I don't care how she takes it because I didn't call her a liar, and I don't know if she is. Am I the a-hole for the way I approached her? I feel my message was quite polite. Don't see how I insinuated she was lying and feel she just took it the wrong way. Am I the a-hole for being a bad feminist and forcing an abortion when I told my daughter that I would not be providing free childcare or enough mommy money to maintain a household? My 45F daughter, 18F, is a freshman at college and she fell pregnant. She called me last night, over the moon, and said that she was so excited, she couldn't wait to move back home and play mom, her words. She talked about what the baby would need that I should buy, that I can watch the baby in the evenings after I work so she can still go to college and have a life, and how happy she is to finally be an adult. I was shocked, because I have always told her how important it is to finish college before kids, and I pay her birth control monthly to prevent exactly this scenario, but I didn't say that. I tried to be nice and supportive but still firm. I told her congratulations, and I love and support her, but I would not be able to provide substantial childcare or financial support because I am a widow with 2 children still in school and we're barely surviving as it is, and I have had to take out loans just to afford her college, which I now have to pay back. I definitely can't afford to maintain an adult and a baby on top of that. I work full-time at a very intense job, sometimes 50 to 60 hours a week if I can, because we need that money. I already struggle to find enough time with my school-aged children. I honestly don't have much time even for myself. The last time I left the house for something for me, and not the family, was before their dad died 8 years ago. I haven't been to so much as a movie or coffee shop since I became a single mom because there's just never money. I said she was welcome to stay at home, but all routine baby care will be on her and the dad, and on them alone, as would all expenses related to the baby. I would help in emergencies, but the only regular, repeatable contribution I can offer is housing, food, and utilities. She got very upset and said that dad had ghosted her, and without my support and money, she couldn't afford it and would be too exhausted for college or anything else. I said that is true, because it is. She then said, so I should get an abortion? And I said that choice is hers, but she needed to keep what it will cost her, time and money-wise, in mind when making that choice. She disconnected without a word, and this morning I got a long, angry text saying I was a terrible mother and a bad feminist because I was forcing her to have an abortion, which I don't think is true at all. I haven't responded yet because I don't want to hurt her and I know she's scared, but I also still feel strongly that I simply cannot be raising another child in the little bit of off time I get, and I can't even come close to affording things like diapers and formula regularly. She has been texting my mom, who also still works full-time, and brother, saying that I'm forcing her to abort a child she wants, and they've been blowing up my phone, but I just don't have the energy to deal with them, and I don't think I'm wrong, so I don't even know what to say to them. I've always tried my best to be a good mom, and I've never denied her love or support, but I feel like she's asking too much by asking me to devote a significant amount of time and money, which I don't have, into raising this baby. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole and a bad feminist for forcing an abortion when I am supposed to be pro-choice? She is threatening to cut all contact, and of course I don't want that at all, but I simply cannot afford another baby right now, time-wise or money-wise, I'm already drowning. Update/edit. Am I the a-hole for being a bad feminist and forcing an abortion when I told my daughter that I would not be providing free childcare or enough mommy money to maintain a household? Edit, to address a few things asked in the comments. 1. I don't think she meant play mom the way many of you perceive it, or I may have made it sound. I'm sure she thinks that if I just support her, she would be able to be a good mom and have this baby she wants. I think in her mind, she is fully planning on being a good mom, but I also think she has next to no idea what that means in a practical day-to-day reality, this costs a fortune, kind of way, and I'm not sure how to explain it to her without being accused of undue pressure one way or the other. 2. The accusation does hurt, because the truth is I would much prefer she have an abortion, but I'm trying really hard not to influence her one way or the other, so I'm not sure where the boundaries are between sharing your experience and convince them to abort, at least in her mind. 3. I don't think she's a brat, I think she's just very, very naive and being a bit selfish and thoughtless at the moment. Again, I'm not sure how to tell her this gently, like the loan thing is really messing me up because I've paid for the semester, so if she drops out now, that money is gone, but I again don't want to use finances to pressure her or hold finances over her head or something like that. 4. No risk of my mom taking the baby or the daughter, lol, my grandparents practically raised us, my mom was a teen mom from a long line of teen moms, I was so proud of myself for breaking the generational curse. My mom never had to step up the way her mom had to, and she had to work full-time in any case and wouldn't have been able to even if it were needed, and honestly without our granny I don't think we'd have survived because while my mom is great, she's useless with babies, haha. I think they're just concerned because it's very unlike us to have such a huge fight, my kids and I almost never fight. Thanks again for your comments, I'll use many of them to formulate a response to my daughter to helpfully make her think. I may just link the thread if she stays obstinate, though some of you are really too harsh towards her, so I hope it won't come to that. Thanks again.
Am I the a-hole for telling my son's teacher that my son can't give consent to appear in his TikTok videos? My son is a 6th grader and his math teacher uses a lot of videos. They did a class project where groups of students did shorts on geometry, and they watched it, and the teacher posted it on his school website and his TikTok. I understand social media is popular with kids and it's not going anywhere, so you might as well try to moderate it like junk food, but I began to wonder if this was a personal project for the teacher rather than a class project. I would probably be okay if this was strictly a class thing if my son was okay with it. After wrestling with it, I spoke to my son and said I'm fine with you being in class videos, but I'm not okay with you being on Mr. J's personal TikTok page without my permission. My son said that he told Mr. J it was okay. That made me laugh. I said you can't even be trusted to shower every day, let alone decide when you can appear on someone's TikTok page. So, I sent an email to Mr. J telling him what I thought and my stance. He replied that I gave consent when I signed his classroom agreement that he uses videos and pictures of his students, and no parent has ever complained. Plus, his TikTok page is also his class TikTok page because you realize no one watches YouTube since 2017. He said he's not hiding anything, and this is what teachers do to make dense subject material interesting. Then he thanked me for being a concerned daddy as a backhanded insult. I replied that none of my son's other 5 teachers are doing what he's doing, and probably because they don't have time to play on TikTok, but that's okay. I expect my son to be a math whiz and we will check in later.
What makes men lose their sweetness as they get older? At 26, I've come to realize that most guys my age don't turn me on because even if they have looks, money, degrees, fit bodies, etc., I can't get turned on if they lack one essential thing: sweetness. In fact, it even seems that the more good-looking, wealthy, educated, fit, etc. a guy is, the less likely he is to be sweet. For me, the sweeter a guy is, the safer he is, and I can only get turned on when a guy makes me feel safe. I don't mean trivial, surface-level sweetness, like bringing flowers on a date. I mean like, deep sweetness. Hard to describe, but when people think of him, they think of the word sweet and pure. An example is Hassan from the book The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. In the book, he starts as a sweet boy, but later he becomes a man who's retained his sweetness. This summer, I worked at Target with a 19-year-old guy who had this type of sweetness. When first meeting him, I wasn't initially attracted, but as I got to know him, I started to fall in love. I haven't worked there in a month, but thinking of him is still the only way I can get off. In fact, I can only intimately fantasize about guys who are sweet because their sweetness makes their body safe. The boinking has a pure, innocent safeness in it. It isn't dirty feeling. I feel that most women like the opposite: guys who are hard, aggressive, dominant, and overtly masculine. This made me wonder, why is adult male sweetness so rare? What makes men lose their sweetness as they get older?